Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Greenhouse All Stars podcast featuring myself and Edmund. Edmund, how's it going?
Pretty good. Just a busy working girl picking up shifts left and right. You know, the grind never stops.
Didn't you just give the shift
Um,
away?
anyways, um, but I'm so excited because the grind never stops. Just like the grind in the greenhouse, season 5 All Stars never stops. Can you believe the guest we booked today?
I cannot believe it.
Any guesses, viewers?
I think we got the queen of the greenhouse, Emma Luke.
Yes, ma'am. Emma needs to make her greenhouse debut. Okay. So, who should we reveal our guest? Let's bring our guest in.
Here we have Thomas.
Hey, don't make me
Thomas.
drink alone.
Period. Thomas, our season 3 runner up and our greenhouse all star. How are you today?
I'm doing great today. So happy to be on the pod. It's been a long time coming.
Have you been waiting to come on here and talk your shit?
Yes, like not necessarily to talk my shit, but just to talk game. Like I love this game so much, and I love analyzing people's moves and whether or not it benefited them. And it's just a blast to talk about it.
I will say I had a blast playing season 3 with you. You were the only one I could really talk actual strategy with that got it. No shade to the girls. They know. They've admitted it. But yes, I loved nerding out with you on strategy and navigating the game. So it was super exciting to watch you play again.
Yes.
Sad that you got the boot last season, last week. But going into this game, I know night one you kind of showed a list on your phone of who you really wanted to work with.
Right.
I think I saw Brandon and Brady at the top, but please clarify who were like your people.
Yeah.
Going
I
into
definitely
it.
wanted to work with Brandon going into the game. I knew that we had very similar styles of gameplay, meaning like we have strong social um, collateral on people, and we can just kind of attenuate our threat level to a sense. I did not necessarily want to work with Shakira because I knew that that was going to be a target going into the game. However, that's just like unavoidable, and so like I knew that I didn't want to like directly go against her. Um, Brady was like very gung ho about working together as well, so he was up on my priority list. I really wanted to work with Maddie, which was honestly the hardest to watch with week one because she directly started saying my name after I gave her information and said that I wanted to work with her long term. But you know, I think that's connected to some other things where people were playing based on previous games, which is okay if that's how you want to play, if that's your style. But it was just harder to navigate that in a new game as I try not to bring other games into play.
So would you say that you say you don't want to bring other games into play, but of course people know the type of game player you are, how good you are at the
Of
game.
course.
Um, Not that you're gonna dumb yourself down, but do you think they have valid reason to want to target you for that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely knew I was going to be a threat going into the game. I was just hoping that I could, you know, find those like few loyal people to just like bond together and just charge all the way through. Um, I think uh, because I did that though, I had a harder time really like getting into the other side of the house. People like Ross and Patrick and Meredith. By the time Meredith had power and like started getting her footing in the game, I hadn't really spoken to her or talked much strategy with her. And same with Ross and Patrick as well. I mean, I kind of directly went against Ross in the first round, and then Patrick was later my initial target. Um, besides like giving him a seed just to kind of placate him for a little bit.
Okay. So one quick question I forgot to ask. Since it on the rumored cast list on Reddit, my name appeared
Yeah.
on there. Where would
No,
I have
yeah.
fallen on your list?
Edmund, I'm scared of you. And so, like, there's, on one hand, I would absolutely want to work with you because I know that working against you would probably cost me my game. Because I know that you're similar to Shane, which I think Shane is doing a fantastic job in this season. Is smart enough to say, like, oh, Thomas knows how to flip these girls onto his side. He needs to just go as soon as possible. And I was hoping that was like going to be the wave for people like Brody, people like Christian and Ross, but for some reason it just kept sticking on me, which is totally fine because it has to stick on someone. For you, I don't think you would have wanted to work with me because I feel like I was largely the reason that poor sweet Zach and Shakira chose me over you, and so I would feel like you wouldn't want to go down that route again. So I would want to work with you, absolutely. But I don't know if you would have reciprocated.
to an extent. But again, no harm, no foul. So kind of again, we already touched on the Shakira thing. Was there ever a point in the game where you kind of, because we see the boys, we'll get into it with specifically this round, with their many not confessionals, but scenes together. But they like to use the phrasing, oh, they've backed us into a corner, so they've forced us to work together.
Right.
Did you feel that way with Shakira? And was there a point in the game where you were kind of like, screw it, we just have to work together anyways?
I mean, I don't think that Shakira and I actually made any move or momentum together at any point in the game, just because the round that we were pit against each other, like one of us was going home, or we could have bonded together to get Jessica out, which I think was probably the better game move for most of the house, and that should have happened. But I think there was just a lot of like chaos and chatter that plan kind of fell to the wayside, when really my biggest regret is not pulling Abrielle to the side and saying, girl, we have to get Jessica out, and this is why, because she would have been logical enough to follow it through, and we would have had the votes to get Jessica out that round and keep Shakira. Who knows what the game would have looked like if that happened. But back to your question, I think it was like, did we feel like we had to work together? Not necessarily, because like we were almost like pit against each other in order to survive. And I didn't see me and Shakira like controlling the other side of the house that the boys and Meredith weren't on. I think truly most of the time it was mainly Brody like creating this narrative that Shakira and I had so much power as a duo to get himself out of the target or the limelight, which worked. Brody's still in the game, you know?
I agree on that. So of course we see Shakira go. I've messaged you multiple times across the season about how good you are, because you know what to say to who. So I want to talk about, I'm just going to put the ball in your court. I want you to talk about the split house twist and how that all shook down, what you were thinking, kind of your pitch against Claire, your bluff of your seeds. Just kind of give us the lowdown.
So my first thing that I wanted to do was to get 4 people into the house with me that was drinking my juice. And you know what? I'm a little thirsty. What about y'all?
I could drink.
Too. I could use some juice.
I actually have a few ingredients here. Just some vodka.
So do I. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So do I. Yes. Oh my god. Wait. This is so weird.
Let's make a drink.
Okay. Let's make a cocktail.
Yeah. So, if anyone at home wants to join, we do have a few things that go into Thomas's go-go juice.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
We do. So get into it. We're gonna put 1 ounce of vodka. It could be flavored vodka.
Yep. 1 ounce of vodka.
1 ounce. Okay. For those at home that don't have a measuring cup, 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. So you just like get into it and really just put as much as you really feel like you need today.
It's a Friday. Yeah.
It's a Friday. It's a
Yeah.
Friday.
Mhm.
Okay, so next we're gonna put a little bit of juice. You can do orange juice, pineapple juice, grapefruit juice, whatever you want. I don't have juice at home, but I do have orange vitamin water. And so that's what I'm gonna be using today.
Mhm.
Whatever you have, just mix that in. We just want to add this more for flavor and just to water that alcohol down just a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay, and then, you know, this is a very fruity drink. I'm a little fruity. I think we're all a little fruity
A little bit.
inside. Just a little
Tiny
bit, just a
bit.
Mhm.
little bit. So let's go ahead and add just some grenadine to add that cherry flavor in there. Really make her a little more sweet, just because I think it's a little easier to pull people in if you're just a little sweet.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Perfect. And then mix that up a little bit. Mix that up. Mix that up.
Do a little ASMR.
Yeah. I don't have a cap on,
Oh,
but
she's got the shaker.
we
She's
do
got
have
the
a
cocktail shaker and
shaker.
everything.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Okay. And then mix her up a little bit. We're gonna pour. We're gonna pour. Ooh, this deep red drink.
Ooh,
We
look at
love this.
her.
We love this. Wow. And then I'm just gonna top it off with a little bit of Sprite. You could use seltzer
Same.
or any club soda that you have. Just because we want to just add a little sparkle, a little bubbly, just to round it out. Cheers!
Awesome.
Cheers,
Cheers. Let's have a
girl.
taste.
Mmm.
Oh my gosh. Wait.
Oh my God,
I
Thomas, tell me who to vote.
I think
I love this drink.
this juice is making me want to go. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
Oh!
Oh my gosh,
Oh
this
my
juice
God.
is making me want to
Oh,
go.
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh. The
These-
go-go juice is working.
These spot the difference games are getting so insane.
Oh
I
my
don't know
gosh.
the difference.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh!
Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. Let me take a breath.
Ah,
Oh my gosh.
I love
Okay.
it. So yeah,
The power is
that's
in the
how I
juice.
really. The power is in the juice.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, I think what's in my juice is just a little bit of charisma, a little bit of developed trust and consistent, just check-ins with people.
Mhm.
Mm,
You love to make your rounds. You
delectable.
love to bounce
I
around.
do make my rounds, and I just make sure that people feel heard and seen, and that their input matters. Even though, like, I'm fully kind of calculating in my brain already.
Mhm.
But anyway, going back to the split house. After a brief detour, I just wanted to have 4 allies on my side going into the house to know that okay, I'm not going home. Like these people just voted to keep me and rallied to keep me. So just to know that I was comfortably safe, even if like it was only my allies, like I'd be willing to cut an ally, but I know that they wouldn't be coming for me necessarily. And then I happened to just have the last two people be two people that voted me out. And while I do think Claire was my initial target, um, mostly because like she had truly no reason to vote me out, she just did, and blamed it on just like not getting consensus from people. I think Shane would have been a bigger target had he not been in the greenhouse that week.
Okay, so 2 questions based on that. What do you think about Claire's move to immediately tell you that she did in fact vote you out instead of hiding it?
Bad choice, girl. She could have
Horrible.
absolutely convinced me that it was someone else, like on the other side of the house, which, like, I had blocked people that I knew would vote against me. And so, like, I could have been convinced it was like Ava, or even though Ava was on my side, or it could have been, like, I don't know, whoever was voting that week. Meredith was put me up, so not her. I forget who, but like she could have convinced me it was someone else. Um, But I think she did it trying to say like, hey, like this is my honest reaction and like trying to regain rapport, but no, you crossed me, girl.
Once you cross Thomas, there's no going back.
No going back. Except if you're Shane, honestly, I still wanted to work with Shane and like try to turn things around, especially that following round that I was fly trapped. But like if his mission was to get me out, like I couldn't sway that, and that is fine. I think people do come in with targets, and I've kind of like resolved to realize like that is a valid gameplay that some people come into the game with. And I do think it's a good move for Shane because while he wasn't necessarily like he was sort of safe in my eyes because I had other targets, he wasn't necessarily a priority to me. However, I still think that I should have stayed that round because I do think that Shane would have had better odds at winning or getting further with my side of the house, if you will, because I know he's a smarter game player than than people that were aligned with me. He could have gotten people to turn against me easily.
Cool. I agree on that part. Before we move on to, I have a couple questions about the flight trap, but I want one more question about the split house. What did you think about Brandon not or giving the power to Shane? Were you upset with Brandon at all? How did that?
I was because I was like, Brandon, like this is a totally safe place to like make a decision and make a move because like we kind of have your back, which at the time I didn't realize that Brandon was a little more connected to Meredith for sure. Ross, like I didn't know he was more on that side and playing the middle. So I didn't know that those decisions would like kind of show his cards as much. So it did upset me at the time because I thought he was more completely on my side.
Okay. And then moving into the fly trap round, obviously great round for your side of the house because you and Christian win. Greenhouse, Ross doesn't use green thumb, which still is a shock to me. Still hasn't used it. But the fly trap happened. How confident were you that you guys may have the seeds to outbid them? And how confident were you in you staying over Christian?
I wish that I had like a GoPro on my forehead when I saw the 7 people outside like pitching in seats for Flytrap because and while I was watching the episode I was like this like makes me want to this just puts a bad taste in my mouth just because I knew that those 7 people were like the bottom half of like my list of people like playing the game, you know? And so I was like they're absolutely fly trapping me right now. I knew that because I had just bluffed Claire, I still didn't have many seeds from the round before. And even the seeds that I claimed to have were just other people. And I knew that we definitely didn't have enough to outbid 14. So that was frustrating and kind of feeling helpless in that way was annoying. I was also annoyed by Ross's cowardice of saying like, oh, this is a democratic process. Like, ultimately everyone's going to decide, which is like, okay, let me pitch in a seat then. However, I want to make the case that Meredith absolutely like swayed Ross and Patrick on that decision because they wanted to get Christian out just to like get him back for putting him up on the block. And Meredith did a very good job at kind of changing that tide. But I wish I had the foresight to say like, okay, are these votes just like whoever pitched in? Are these votes weighted by the number of seeds that they pitched into the fly trap? Because then I could have made the argument like, okay, Patrick and Ross, I've been semi working with you, giving you information. I told you that I'm not targeting you. And y'all have most of the seeds in this fly trap like pot. So why don't you save me? I'm now on your side and indebted to you, and let's us 3 tear shit up instead of Brody, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Meredith's a queen and a legend, and I honestly cite her for my fly trap more than anyone else because I do think that like ultimately it was a stronger decision on her end.
Oh, for sure.
With you bringing up Ross saying it's a democratic process. Ultimately, I think you would have had the fire under your ass anyways. But when he basically says go talk to everyone and get their votes in this
Right.
say, do you think that really put you into overdrive when Christian kind of took a backseat? How do you feel about that sort of
Yeah.
dynamic?
I mean, I stand by everything that I said to everybody. I think I made really strong and compelling arguments to like choose to vote and keep me, and I was truthful and honest with them. I though I'm like an aggressive player, I don't feel like I truly lie to people. I try to stick as much to my word as possible. There are just people that I just like kind of stop like prioritizing or stop talking to, and just to kind of let things fall away, um, rather than directly going after each other. So I think I'm an aggressive player, but not an offensive player. Meaning I just like have my target and we're going against you once you already crossed me, which may be like too late in the game. Yeah.
I would say I don't think you lie. I think you withhold, which I think
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
difference in that. Okay. Last question about your game, unless another question comes up in my mind after this. But what was one thing you accomplished this season compared to season 3? Because season 3, you went all the way. You
Right.
slayed the game.
Right.
Again, no shade to Shakira. I think she even admits it. You deserve to win. No shade to Shakira, I promise.
No.
I love her.
I think it should be a shared win. Like I think we both have winner qualities for different reasons. I think ultimately she won because of just like her incredible social game. And Shakira is like tenfold more charismatic than I am. Like I already have that, but Shakira is just magnetic. She gets people on her side like with a snap of her finger, and so I totally think she's a deserved winner.
Yes,
I
I didn't mean that, but
no, I know.
it is what
I
it
think
is.
I think I'm a stronger player, and she will admit that as well. But that's not necessarily the criteria to be a winner.
Yes.
Anyway,
I guess I should clarify. You deserve to win in a strategic sense. How about that?
right, cool.
Okay.
And then the question was, what did I accomplish this game? I think I had to work a lot harder just because the caliber of players was significantly higher. I barely had any resistance to anything in my original season, and so this was a lot more fun, to be honest. I felt like I played an even fuller game in the half of the game that I played for All Stars, just because like there was more of a push and pull, and so I feel like I accomplished more than even my original season. Yeah, significantly higher, because um, because I had more fight to have. The people were just smart, and there wasn't just me saying like, oh, this is what we're doing this round, and just letting the chips fall. So I think Ross put a strong game up against me. I think that Meredith is an extremely underrated strategist that really has a lot more control than I could even see during the game. So watching the episodes, I'm even more impressed. I wish I was just in the middle more, similar to Brody.
Yeah, I think that's a common theme with Meredith because you see as people bring up that side of the house, they put Meredith towards the bottom. And
yeah.
I think we see through the edit that Meredith has a lot more control than people are giving her credit for. I guess just one last question. When you came into the season, were you like scared at all? Like, were you intimidated by these players? Or you're just like, I'm not picked?
So I go into these games purely for the fun of it. Like I play the game and I get out. Like I don't take it too seriously to me because like it's a source of fun, and like that's it. If I win, amazing, let's go. That's it will feel awesome. If I lose, I know it's because I like fought hard and played a very strong game, and I know anytime that I'm gonna get out, it's because I'm a strong threat. Like the only time I would regret playing a game is if I went home because people like easily just picked me off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't really scared, just being like content with whatever happens in the game. I was more so just excited to just like see how things go. I was only nervous about like just the personal relationships I have outside of the game, and making sure like that other people like just we're good
Right.
leaving the game.
Cool. Any last words on your game?
No,
Like,
I had so much fun.
okay. Wait, give your little speech, and then I have one more thing.
I was just gonna say I had so much fun and truly have no regrets. I would play the exact same game, besides just I think turning on Brody and making Brody the target, and showing that he was bigger than me and Shakira, because he had power, with people like Ross and Patrick, and just gotten the side of my house, like in those middle episodes, like earlier, just to like rally and chop away at those alpha males, as Christian calls them. Which, like, all right, girl.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Okay, one last thing. Sum up your game or experience in one word. One word only.
Aggressive.
Aggressive. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we've made our go-go juice. I haven't been drinking, so I'm already a little toasty.
Mm-hmm.
With my 2 ounces of vodka. But going into this round, I'm really glad we got you for this round, Thomas, because I want to talk about this challenge specifically with you.
Nice.
And basically how you would navigate it, what you liked, what maybe you didn't like, maybe some constructive criticism. Even though Taylor is your brother, I overall I enjoyed it all.
I liked it.
I
It
don't
was a
think
really cute challenge for the round. Like it was giving. It separates who's strategic and who's just going round by round, and you can kind of see how people play the game as a whole rather than just a challenge.
Right.
I agree.
So
I love this challenge. I think it reminded me a lot of a challenge from from the Genius, which is like a separate show that we've played before. It was just very like you have to plan ahead, but also like kind of gauge other people. Yeah, it was really cool.
How would you navigate this challenge?
As soon as I would have found out about Cactus, like that is immediately the
Right?
I would go for. Like,
right?
I'm honestly shocked that people didn't go for that. Like, that gets you and 2 allies through the round.
And 2 seeds.
Yes. Come on.
Totally
Let's
agree.
lock in.
Totally agree.
And so I think I would have like grabbed my few people, and just thrown our seeds together, similar to what Brody did. Brody kind of played it a little smarter, but not on purpose, because he got seeds from other people for another power, and then just used other people's seeds plus 2 other people's like complete seed counts, or not seeds, money. And so he had more than 1,500, which would be like the same as if you grabbed 2 other people. So good on him, but that was not purposeful. I will say.
Would you have Brady, who was one of your allies in this game, would you have let Brady take it, or would you have convinced Brady to give you his money?
I would have trusted him to save me if I gave him my money. I think it would have been a heart-to-heart check. I think I would have bonded or grabbed, although Brandon and Lily wanted their flower power, so they might not have been fully a part of it. I think I would have gone to Abrielle, and maybe Christian would have been out. I would have gone to Brady. Yeah, Abrielle and Brady, and say, like, let's do this. Like, this is our only chance. And make the pitch of, like, really going against, like, Ross and Patrick and Brody and Meredith.
Matthew, how would you approach this challenge?
I think I would be like more of the vibe of like helping others. Like, oh, you want to bid for sunflower? Like, here's some money. Like, rose, here's some money. Because I don't know. I feel like in this type of round, if you're getting in power, you're like really in the forefront. Like, not a lot of people could be nommed. Like, you kind of see throughout the challenge like who wants to bid on what and like who's really like going for it and why. So I think if you could like play a more like low key point on this one without going up, it's like better in the long run, because then in the next round everyone's gonna be like, well, somehow they got all this money and they screwed this person over, they screwed this person over, and we kind of see that now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally. I feel like with me, when the game is happening, I feel like I just have so many thoughts in my head that trying to comprehend a challenge with 10,000 rules isn't really going to register in my brain, to where I just say, okay, screw the challenge. I'm just going to focus on my social game and make sure that like all the people I'm good with feel good with me, right? Especially in a challenge like this where 5 out of 11 people are safe. How do we feel about that?
Right.
I love that.
I think it like forces sides to like show their priorities even within their group, because if all of your if all of the people that you're going after are safe, then like who are you turning against, you know? So it makes people show their cards, especially for the people that are like they're trying to play both sides. So that would have been so much fun to play with. And even if I knew if I got Cactus and knew that I was safe, like I would have absolutely like made that round to push to get someone strong out. And I think that could have absolutely changed the tide for me. But it's cool.
I think with how it's set up, it's kind of almost meant for like you to throw the people that like aren't on the tops of everything kind of in power. So then it's like, okay, like now we can finally see like what you're thinking. And then when they make dumb moves and everyone starts screaming at them, like it kind of puts them in the forefront, which is nice, because if you keep having like Ross and Brody and like Christian like all out in the open, like eventually we're gonna get to that point where it's like, well, who's the next target? And this kind of makes the next targets.
Yeah.
So some initial bids here. We do see Lily. She's the only one by herself the first round, right? And so I have to say, Lily has been kind of passive so far this game. Kind of just going with the flow, talking to people. This round, Lily wanted to get active.
Out of nowhere.
And, you know, she talked to her camera for the minute, but then she had a few minutes to just rest and relax in the room. As she discussed where she might get some money from.
Right.
Her sugar daddy, she is getting money from.
Yes. So Lily decided to take a little... Lily decided to take a little rest before getting active.
That's so
because
funny.
She knew she was going to have to go to bat.
Exactly.
What do you guys think about Lily getting active this round and kind of declaring these sides? And then I guess we can skip to that part, but then not following through on this narrative she was pushing all around and not nominating Shane and Brady instead. How do we feel about that?
Lily is the type of person that I hate watching, but like I love and then I hate, because like you are giving us everything. Like you are telling us the correct information, you have the right reads, and then it's just like it crumbles. And it's like, girl, you literally had a 5-minute conversation in the room alone. Like that was just you and your thoughts. Like, what are you doing?
I know. Lily has, like, she once again reveals in this, like, solo moment that she has an excellent read on the game, but she's just not an aggressive player, and it's frustrating. Like, I wish that she said, basically listed the 3 people that were sort of running the house, and then, of course, like, Patrick and Ross and Brody were saved by the cactus, and so I think if they didn't get cactus, she absolutely would have gone for them.
Oh, for sure.
And so then that's what we were just discussing. Like the power of the cactus is that you have to turn on people that you're working with, because you're kind of only left with those people to nominate.
But like she kept grouping Shane in with the other side, and then Shane was right there to be nominated.
I know.
And she doesn't do it, so it's like, where did this happen?
Do you think it has something to do with the fact that I don't really remember for sure. I think like Shane, because this is like the whole debacle when Shane asked Brandon if he would be safe if he gave him money, and Brandon's like, oh, I don't know. And then they like shake hands, him and Lily, right? When he offers to give her money. Do you think that has anything to do? Because her and Brady talked before her and Shane when Brady gave her some money for it. So do you think that has something to do with it? Or
did Brady give her
possibly
money? Because
Brady did give money
to Lily.
I think much less so.
He was gonna bid on Cactus.
Right, but Brady was acting like he had Cactus with a $10 bid.
Girl, so, delusion.
Right, so I think he was like, "Oh, I have Cactus. Like, I'm just saving this," and I don't think he thought other people were going for it because he was telling people that he like already bid on it. You know, which like I think is a decent strategy in like this game where you don't see people's bids. However, I think Brady only gave her $100 and Shane had given her like $200 or something. I can't clarify. I don't know.
So you think she just went purely based off numbers?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we should talk about Brody really quick because Brody loves when we talk about him.
Oh my God, girl.
So Brody originally wants to go for the sunflower. He has like 6 people in the laundry room with him, basically all giving money to him. The thing about Brody is he's gonna like, okay, I have to think about how to word this because he did it round 1 with the fly trap. He basically tricks you into thinking that you don't want the power and that he should have it, so that way he has to take the heat for all of it, right? And then, but really he wants the power. So it's like this kind of like gaslighting technique, which I think is pretty good because he gets away with it, right? And so he kind of starts to do that in this group of people in the laundry room with the sunflower and basically saying, I'll take the sunflower if you guys don't want it. Like, no blood on your hands. I will take all the heat. Like, I'm doing something for you guys, when really they're doing something for him.
Right.
But I was surprised because knowing the game player that Brody is, I expected him to fully just go straight for Cactus. And obviously we see him pivot to that halfway through the round, which I think is the smart play, as we discussed.
Oh, definitely.
Especially when Brady is the only one talking about it. So how do we feel about Brody's navigation of this round, of this challenge?
I don't understand why everyone still lets Brody do his thing. Like, I just don't get it. Like,
girl, they say it every episode.
Multiple rounds. Like, it just keeps happening. And then Brody gets in power, and then everyone's like, oh, no, we can't get Brody. And it's like, you are the reason that Brody is in power. Like, you cannot complain when you are doing it. But I think for Brody, it was probably honestly such a good play to go for Sunflower first, even if like he didn't originally like want to go for Cactus. Even just having people rally behind you, being like, yeah, like I wouldn't mind if you're Sunflower, and then like having all that extra coin to go use later. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I think either way, if he was Sunflower or Cactus, he could have made a move. But I think he sat down and realized like the smarter move is Cactus, because then I keep the other threats ahead of me. So yeah, I don't know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I agree. I think the move that I think could have elevated this round even more would be if Brody, Ross, and Patrick were smart enough to divide their money to get 2 powers, because they absolutely could have. Like if Brody could have like bluffed well enough with Brady, which he could have, he could have gotten Cactus for much lower of a price, and they could have used the other part of the money to get something else. Like, Jessica only won Sunflower with, I think, like a little over
something. Yeah.
$500. Like they could have absolutely won that too. So I think that they play a good game, but just like not as full as they could. Yeah, I think Brody, you can tell, and like his immediate impression is to group together and put a large sum of money onto one power. When he immediately goes into the room with the highest number of people and says, "We have the majority of the money here. Let's just all pitch it in and do something," with like promise safety. But you can't promise safety with that many people knowing that the cactus is in play.
Mm-hmm.
And so once he did find cactus, I think that's why he pivoted, because he knew that he
Kind of
couldn't
like
keep that
Lily
promise.
in this situation, right?
Yeah.
Because I think Brody, all that Brody cares about is one, being safe, and then two, using that safety in order to garner information to help him decide where to move forward. Kind of like the Moonflower in season 3. You know what I mean? You're not really making a bunch of waves, but you have those people coming to you to talk to you to get the information you need to analyze where you need to go. Where I think Cactus is a safer play, and then you save all your bros.
Yeah.
So,
I think the funniest part of Cactus was Brody then realizing he automatically promised Ross and Patrick safety, and so clearly that indicates to people like these three are working together. And so when people like are trying to come up to him and say like Brady was like, well, can you promise me safety? And he's like,
yep.
Oh, like people already gave me money. Like,
yep.
Like,
that was the next thing I was going to touch on. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think like that's also not the best gameplay. Like I know I can sit here and just like critique because I'm out, but I think like still that could have been stronger gameplay and of like not necessarily choosing Patrick and Ross and realize that you have enough like protection to keep them in. I don't know.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna bring that up because, again, do I think Brody is loyal to Brady? Not really at all, in terms of main priorities, but he's like trying to trick Brady into like this, we're gonna pretend to hate each other, so that way Brady doesn't really hate him when Brody uses Brady as his perceptive target to everyone else, right? Because he had it with Shakira when he did that whole thing, and then when Shakira gets out, okay, who's Brady going after? So then he needs to kind of pivot and find a new person to throw out in the open, so that way people are like, well, Brody's not coming after me. And then he's really tricking Brady into thinking like, oh, like this is all for show, like I'm not really coming after you. And
my question is though,
how do we think about?
Oh, finish your thought.
I was gonna say, like, what do we think? How do we feel about Brady approaching that and basically being like, okay, I trust you, but then
I don't know. Brady is the type of person that like you could just tell just be jumping everywhere. Like you see it in every episode. He's like, oh, these people are starting to follow a little bit, even if they're like not fully following. He'd be jumping. But like, I don't understand what Brody thinks is going to happen if Brady wins like the sunflower or the rose and has to put someone up. Like now Brody's going to have to go up, or everyone's going to be like, maybe these two are working together because they're supposed to hate each other and now they don't. So it's just like, I don't get the logic fully behind publicly hating someone, but then like scurrying off into the corner and being like, tee, like we're final two, even though it's not true.
Yeah, that tactic is always funny to me, of like saying like, let's make everyone think that we're like enemies, which is like, that's never, no one's thinking about other people like that in this game. Like everyone's just thinking about themselves in this game. I promise you, they're not thinking about the nuances of your relationship. But I do think that Brady really shows like how he plays this game well in this episode. I say well, but maybe not so well.
I agree with you. I know where you're coming from. I totally agree.
And that like he his tactic is always to go to people that he sees with some sort of power of saying like, I'm ready to just like leave them, like I'm here and you have me now. Like here's like a couple seeds, here's like a promise, and he does give good concrete tangible promises that most people like just don't do. So like that's a strong suit of his game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like this is the culmination of like who Brady is as a player this episode or this round.
I agree. I think Brady is a floater in the sense that he will gravitate towards whoever has power and use whatever he has to prove loyalty to them so that way he can get by for another round. Which, of course, obviously, Brady was saved this round, right? In the boat at the end of the day.
Sure.
And I don't want to say Brady is like Jessica in the fact that I think Brady has a better read on the game and knows what's going on more. But I think he acts like Jessica in the fact that depending on who's he's around, he will act accordingly. You know what I mean?
I compared Brady to a little like mini Christian because like they just be running around to everyone like we're good, and like does it with everyone, and it's like eventually they're gonna get caught. Like with Christian gone, like Brady is now the new Christian because it's like everyone's gonna know like I'm running to this group, and he's like even telling people like, oh, like I'm good with this side, like they like are eating it up, like they think I'm with them, but it's just like now you're going to everyone and you're replacing Christian.
See, but like that's my thing with this season specifically is with the lack of one-on-ones to the camera, I really need to know what Brady is thinking because I'm sure Brady will send me an essay later about what he was thinking in this moment. But I wish I had a real in the moment confessional of it to where he was telling me like I'm just saying this for the betterment of my game, compared to what he actually believes. You know what I mean?
I love Brady. I love Brady. He's one of my favorite people on this planet. I don't think he was thinking that hard. I do think that like in the moment, like he knew what he wanted to do, but like he is so wishy-washy that like it's not. It wasn't like a 3 rounds ahead thinking moment. It's just like in this moment, this is who I wanted to work with because I'm feeling nervous about staying with the like Abrielle, Brandon, Shane side. You know, like I think that was his tactic. I think his tactic is safety, and like that's what he's thinking.
Yeah,
not necessarily
because
like,
I'm like
oh,
Brady.
I truly want to align with Meredith and Ross and Patrick right now.
Right, because I'm like Brady. Like, I'm sure you realize that like they don't give a shit about you, right? You know what I mean?
He does. Yeah.
Right.
He does.
To where it's like he's just trying to save his ass right now, but it's like, what are you gonna do next round? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see that.
Can we talk about Christian, please?
Girl.
I mean, hold on. We'll get to him. I just want to talk really quick about I want to finish up the challenge.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think we really need to talk about like who really bid on seeds and like the extra vote and stuff. Let's talk about Shane and then like the bidding on the sunflower and then the jailing of Brandon and then let's talk about that. So we know what happened with that. Shane bids 100 on sunflower, I believe, and then Shane is the only one that's like, no one has jailed yet. Let me jail Brandon. Smart play. I totally think it's a smart play. How do we? Obviously, it doesn't really. It works in his favor in the fact that Shane's not on the block and Brandon isn't in power, but Shane doesn't ultimately win the sunflower. And then I guess that'll like segue us into the conversation about Christian because Christian persuades Jessica to bid on it. So how do we feel about Shane utilizing the jail factor and then basically how Brandon reacted to it?
Really smart.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Forgot.
I agree.
Was like a thing. And then I think Edmund brought it up and he's like, oh, so just no one's going to get jailed? And then it was like, Shane's like, I'm jailing Brandon. And I was just like, it shows like in the challenge, like who thinks multiple steps ahead. Because like Shane was thinking from the second that they were all coming together when Brandon was like, round 6, I'm going in there to bid on it. He's like, no, you're not. So I think it's like, it shows what type of player Shane is and how he could think so far ahead, and almost fall into power because he put himself in that position.
Yeah. Shane's really good at like observing and reading, shutting the fuck up, and like executing like at the exact right moment. So like props to Shane for jailing Brandon, because I do think, and I know that Shane goes up if Brandon wins Sunflower.
For sure.
You know? And then this round looks a lot different. Yeah.
Because I want to say this, and I want to talk about Shane's dynamic in the game, because Shane is obviously putting all of his eggs in kind of this side's basket, right? With Ross, Meredith, Patrick, and that. And so, in my opinion, based on what I'm viewing, I don't think Shane gets enough credit on that side of the house. And
Agreed.
So, I will see how it plays out. I think it was a smart move. I think Shane has the correct reads. I just don't know if he's utilizing it correctly, but at least he's doing it in the fact that he's proving loyalty to these people so that way they keep him safe. Because really, when you look at these conversations, you see these people are saying, I want Shane in the 3, right? They keep saying Shane in 3. But Shane in these 3, in my opinion, doesn't win.
Right. So from my point of view, I think Shane does want to be with the Ross, Patrick, Meredith side of the house. However, he spends a lot more FaceTime with the other side of the house that he doesn't want to be with. And I think it's smart because like he's playing the middle and like ultimately like pitches and seeds and makes moves like with the Meredith Ross side of the house. Right. But he doesn't build that like social stamina to like last and go all the way with that side of the house. So ultimately it's like you're kind of making a good decision, but like not like fostering that to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. And I feel like if Shane has been so observant and realizes all these things, again, with the lack of the confessionals, I don't know how he's feeling. I mean, Shane actually had a few this round, but with the specific instance of him versus Brandon, the way that Brandon is speaking to him, he's kind of speaking to him like, you're funny, you have no power, and you just like dug your grave, right? It basically is what Brandon was saying. Oh, you're not going to be playing because you're going to be out. To where I feel like Shane should pick up on that and be like, am I not getting enough credit for the moves that this side of the house is making? But yeah, how do we feel about the whole fight and all that?
Brandon has been pissing me off these last few episodes because he's like kind of sitting on this like high horse, it seems. And like, you wanted to play the middle, so now you're looking like boo-boo the fool right now when your side that you ended up choosing super late is now falling in numbers. Like, you can't get pissed at the people that are like actively like that were kind of also in the middle that chose their side. Like Shane,
playing better than
ever,
you. Yeah.
I don't think Shane was ever like truly in the middle. Like, he obviously was still very like with the Ross side. And he had his like little allies here and there, but like he was never playing the like Brandon true middle. So like Brandon, I think this is just like the whole pent up rage of like, I'm pissed because Shane's position in the game should be my position, and now I'm like going home soon and I could just see it.
Yeah. And I want to ask Thomas your perspective on this, because I don't really know Brandon that well, so I'm sure you probably have a better read on that, to where I don't want to say it's a sense of like entitlement, but basically he's kind of threatening Shane in front of everybody that I'm going to make sure you go home, when in reality, I think we see through the edit that Shane has more power, to where it's like, where do you think that Brandon gets this idea from? And just basically that
okay.
thing.
I think like a huge part of it is just the reality TV of it all.
Brandon wanted his moment.
Yes, Brandon very much watches Housewives and wanted like a moment sort of like that of just saying like, okay, well, you want to come after me? Let's do this. But I think that's the essence of what Brandon was like getting at. It's like not like yes to the point of saying like, okay, well, I'll see you when you go home before me. Just basically declaring like, okay, then we're done. And I think Brandon's the type of person that it's like once someone has like crossed him in a way, he doesn't forgive. Love him, he does not forgive. He definitely does not forget. Like there's no use to there's no like utility in trying to ask for forgiveness from Brandon because that's just not going to happen. And so I think genuinely Brandon in that moment was like, okay, like I know at least I should target you because you've shown me who you are and what you want out of this game with me. So I'll just say that. And then I also think there's I think Brandon would have like stuck to his word if he did get power this week, but unfortunately or maybe fortunately for Shane, definitely fortunately for Shane, he jailed him and like stayed safe. So I think in the next few rounds, like this will still be brewing, and I think there's a lot more in this storyline to unpack.
We love the foreshadowing of someone who was there. Yes, ma'am. But I guess one last question on that. Do you think in that moment, Brandon really think he had the power over Shane? Because of the thing that I said before, where people aren't giving Shane enough credit on that side of the house.
Well, I think like Brandon also just kind of saw that like, oh, Shane, well, they didn't announce the powers yet, but I think Brandon kind of assumed like, oh, Shane wasn't in that room at the end. So I think someone else has Sunflower and knew that Shane had given other people money to know that Shane didn't have the power to go after Brandon. And so I think Brandon felt a little comfortable kind of making that attack, if you will. And no, he knew that one, Lily had power and Lily wasn't going to put him up. And then for the other power, I guess he just had no idea about Jessica. So I think he was just in the moment very like frustrated and alarmed by being jailed because like that's just a frustrating position. And so I think he just like emotionally said all those things.
This is I don't really think it was like him. Branding like kind of get nasty, like even from season 1. I was just like, oh, okay, Brandon.
No, I agree. Like
this is the side I was waiting to come out.
That is the side of Brandon that I see regularly. Like this is, I was just like, yeah, there's Brandon.
I do want to bring that up because it was something I noticed with you this season, Thomas, was that again, you're smart enough to know how to talk to who. And I could tell when you were kind of doing the Thomas thing.
Right.
And then when you were like just being Thomas.
Right.
And then you were like, quit the bullshit, like, fuck them. I just wanted to point that out. That was something I noticed is like, depending on who you're around, you're just like, oh my God, fuck them. And then others, you're like, if I block your vote, like, will you work with me?
Exactly.
But yeah. But ultimately, like, with all of this, like, Brandon and Shane both don't go up when they were 2 of 6 options, a third of the options.
Which I think is interesting because Brandon actually did not give Lily money. Mostly because he was going for Sunflower, but like that is kind of forgotten in the ether.
I would have been pissed off if Lily was like, I have to go with someone. Yeah, like if Lily was like, I have to go like for someone that didn't help me, and then Brandon's sitting right there, and I know for a fact Brandon gave her 0. Oh, Lily, catch these hands! Like I'm ready to go.
And poor Brady, because I would have thrown that right in her face if I recognized that as Brady.
Speaking of Lily, I have 2 things to close out the like challenge portion. Poor Lily was in that room and went to go bid on Rose, and the person behind the camera goes, "What was your name?" We are 2 days into this game, And you don't know Lily's name?
How do you not know Lily's name? You know what? Come on, under the radar queen. Under the radar queen. Yes, ma'am.
I'd be like, maybe I really do need this rose power to do something.
What was your name again? When I heard what was your name again, I was like, we are at the final 11.
But also, real briefly, sorry to cut to something else, but something else that made me die laughing was, so the episode title for the first episode was Trusty Shovels, and Jessica goes on to reveal that her 3 most trusted people are
that was my next point.
Gabrielle, and Brady.
I was like, where did that come from?
It cuts to the episode before where she's talking to Brady and she literally sees, yeah, it was Meredith's fiance. It was, she was talking to Brady and she sees like Abrielle and Shane talking. And so I think she literally just like saw these people and she was like, oh, I want to work with them.
Yeah, no,
but do we give Brady credit for that? Because Brady was kind of the one that went off and talked to her and was like, we should make this a 4. And she actually was down for it.
And I do think we give Brady credit here because he has been keeping Jessica in the loop and making her feel like her opinion's valid.
Fair.
Whereas everyone just goes to Jessica and they're like, this is what we're doing and like you need to hop on board. And she'll say yeah. But I feel like that group she feels like she has some sort of say in.
Yeah, and she said that I was gonna say she said that in her confessional, like the fact that like those were her people, which was crazy for me to hear.
Wild.
Yeah. Shane texted in our group chat that like the episode was the first time he ever heard of that Final 4.
In that conversation or a little confessional too, she was going in on Christian. I was like, where did this Jessica come from? Like, she's been building and I'm living for it.
Which I feel like Christian didn't really do anything differently than what Brady was doing, you know? Like, no. But for some reason, it rubs her the wrong way, which is why he was put up this episode.
For sure. And it probably has to do with, like, the perception of all these people saying the same stuff about Christian. It was, I don't know. We got a few Jessica confessionals that I think we needed this episode to kind of establish her position. We did. We needed clarity by Kim Petras. But yeah. So last thing on the challenge, again, because Brandon gets jailed. Shane isn't in the room with the sunflower anymore. Christian single-handedly basically forces Jessica to bid on it because Jessica's like, oh, I don't know. Christian basically forces her to bid on it, gives her money, and then Jessica wins it and nominates him. What do we think about Jessica's nominations?
Why? But also it
made sense to what she was saying in the confessionals. It made sense.
Yeah, but also like if I was Christian, Jessica, like the second she was like, I don't know, I'll take your money then. I'll bid on it myself. Like, why would you give Jessica the power when she was unsure?
Yeah, I don't get that either. I don't remember how much money Christian had at that moment.
I don't think it was.
He definitely spent more money on the 2 seeds. I don't know. It was not the best decision for Christian for sure. But because at the same time, like if they left it alone and Jessica didn't bid, Shane would have been Sunflower, put up Brandon, and maybe Christian still.
Yeah. But so moving away from the challenge, we have the sunflower and the rose. We've already kind of talked about this. Jessica as the sunflower, Lily as the rose, and Brody as the cactus. Brody saving his bros that weren't even working together. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm sick of hearing that.
I know. Like, so, and them saying like, oh, we're forced to play together. Like, girl, these people are flexible enough to like change round to round. Like, you can see that like you can turn on each other. And we actually do see Ross and Patrick have solid confessionals together. Basically saying like, you know, if push comes to shove, like we're willing to cut off Brody. You and I are each other's priority.
I think
which I thought was interesting.
Brody is just trying to hold on to this, like, well, if we're perceived as the three, the two of them will go before me. But it is just like, what is this whole we're forced to work together thing? Like,
yeah.
If anyone was forced to work together this season, it was you and Shakira.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, like we clown them round 1 or 2 on the recap because they're having this like bro convo about how they're gonna stick together. You guys have had this pact from the beginning. And again, there's a lot of, like let's work together all season long, right? But they have actively been working in each other's interest since the beginning. So who is forcing you to work together?
Nobody's forcing you, baby.
Nobody at all. And I want to go back really quick because
exactly, Christian.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom, but I want to go back to the whole Jessica thing with her nominations really quick.
Okay.
You said, Thomas, it made the most sense for her game. Again, I don't know if it was super intentional on Jessica's part, but if she believes in this 4 with the season 3 girls that remain, and then these people that she's been working with, the bros, totally put up Christian and Meredith. Makes the most sense. Totally good. Totally think it was a good move for her. I just don't know if it was intentional, but I digress.
No. And maybe before we talk about Christian's gameplay, I want to bring up Abrielle for sure for this episode.
Oh, we have a whole segment. Don't worry.
Okay.
We have a whole segment. Don't worry.
So I guess after nominations, there was a lot of like bickering back and forth, like Brandon still kind of going after Shane, and then Brady trying to pop off, and Christian trying to have his moment, and Christian kind of clocking Claire. I was like, when he was like, "All right, Claire," with someone crying or doing something, I was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "Not the Claire drag, but like
not the Claire sneak." The Claire sneak.
How did we feel with the whole like? Everyone trying to have their big one in front of everyone right after nominations. Like, I don't know. It just felt very forced.
Yeah.
Baby, everyone's been kind of pussyfooting around everything this season because they don't want to get used against them. To where I feel like this is the round where everyone's like, I'm gonna do my big one. I'm gonna get my dragon. I'm gonna. Everyone's talking about Emmys and winning awards. No one's winning awards here. Let's
exactly.
If you're talking about acting, baby, that's an Oscar. But
maybe I think they think like an Emmy, like this is a TV show, so like
TV show. Yeah. The only Emmy from this last episode that I'm seeing is from Abrielle. Let's be for real.
Abrielle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And totally. She says, "I'm so sorry for being intense at this time, but I am not going to find myself at the bottom of a 4 again." Which,
I know. She's like, the Power 4 that ran season 3. Did we not see that?
Yeah.
And I have to.
Historian.
Oh, a historian. She's got her facts. I have to bring up a fact of I forget who she was talking to out on the pond side patio. Let's bring up the graphic of the layout of the house. Yeah. So the pond side patio.
On the left.
Yeah, the pond side couch. Yep, on the left there, outside of the living room. Where a lot of conversations have been had. For the viewers that have never played the greenhouse or have never visited the residence, this is where the people discussing the fly trap were sitting. Yes. So I just find it so funny that the fact that Abrielle is sitting there talking to someone about waking up in the game, and then in the background, we see Shakira sleeping.
Oh my god.
But also what was so funny to me is like in certain clips at the beginning of the round, you hear Shakira like cackling in the background, like talking to whoever she was talking to, and then cut scene, we see her pass out on the couch. Had to give Shakira her airtime. But yeah, Abrielle got active this round.
Active.
I think so.
Like, when I tell you, Abrielle knows the correct times to wake up and like push a move, like get in power. I feel like every time she is in the spotlight, it is always like perfect for her, because it's always like something that's setting herself up for the future, something that's just like helping her because like maybe someone's coming after her and they're just now like either not or they're gone. Like, I don't know, Abrielle just amazes me in how she plays.
Yeah.
The good thing about Abrielle is she can ride the wave, and I feel like she's been riding it the past couple rounds. Like, we haven't seen much of Abrielle the past couple rounds, but she kind of declares in this moment, like, this is where we need to make the move. And which is like explains her frustrations with Shane, right? Because she's like, what do you not get? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in part, I agree with her, because if Shane is still trying to play this middle role, I still think he plays.
Not Meredith with the sneak.
Listen, the Abrielle sneak. But I agree. I mean, I agree on that point, because
I don't think I agree with that point, actually, because I think she is trying to turn the tide against Meredith in this round. The only issue is that that side simply has infinite amount of seeds and can choose whatever power they want at any time. So they end up uprooting.
And I think what's different with Abrielle this time, just like from like a getting active standpoint, is like she was like putting in the work. Like, before, she would just kind of like say like this thing is gonna happen, cool, but like she made her rounds this episode and was like really like giving Christian seeds. And like, I think if she could have gotten one other person on board, I think Christian probably would have came off the block.
I think potentially yes, but I also think as good as a read Abrielle had, she didn't go to the right people. And
I agree.
Didn't go as early into the round. Exactly, Shane. I don't think she didn't know that Shane was close to Abrielle and Ross, and so, but she was spending a lot of time convincing Shane, because to her, Shane was
wait. Did Shane make a typo there with
what?
Abrielle?
Shane
had a final three with Abrielle and Ross.
With Meredith and
Ross. Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. Which I agree with. I'm thinking, I feel like at this point Shane is thinking like, okay, it's too late to play the middle. Like, I just need to pick my side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To where he kind of wants to stop giving false hope to this other side that's diminishing. Which I hate to see Abrielle kind of do all this work just to know that her getting active this round when she's been so mute, I think this is really going to bite her in the ass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, yes and no, because like now she's kind of like, it's out there that she's coming for Meredith, but like, is Abrielle the next target or the next two targets for the side that she's currently on? I don't think so. Even if Meredith got in power, I think everyone is going to look at Abrielle like she isn't like the contender on the side. So let's say it's like her and Brady, and who's left on their side? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. That's it. And Brady's been putting all this work in with that other side. So it's like,
I think the next two targets from that side are going to be Brandon and Lily. I think Abrielle's going to kind of be left for last next to Brady. And I think she's going to sneak her way in, because I don't know. Like, Abrielle.
One thing about Abrielle, she's a roach.
She is a roach.
A self-proclaimed roach. Self-proclaimed, I have to clarify.
But like, she will get to that point where it's like, okay, like now it's just me and Brady. And if you guys have Brady, use me. And then she's going to find her little group already. She's going to have the people. And then she's going to be in the new power position. So I don't think it's...
I agree.
I don't think it's bad that she made who she's after known now, because for the people that want to, on Meredith's side, go after Meredith later, they might go and pick up Abrielle and be like, okay, like, let's use you.
The thing is with the dynamics that are happening on the Ross and whatever side of the house, whoever is left from the side, the 1 to 2 people, when these people are going to start getting squirmy and they're going to want to start making their moves, and Abrielle's there to make it. Because Abrielle is there to make it.
Who in their right mind would let a side get down to 6 with Brody in the 6? Ain't no one gonna let Brody touch 6. So someone from that side is gonna have to stay for Brody to in turn go home.
Right. To where, like, because the thing is like when it's side versus side like this in a house, at some point these people are gonna implode on each other, and they're gonna need to scoop up these stragglers, these roaches from the other side of the house, and make a move. So I just hope Abrielle is there to make it, because I love Abrielle. I love my season 3 sisters.
Me too. I mean, the ones that were good were good.
No, the name's Thomas, who wasn't good. No.
I think we know.
We know.
We know. I don't have to do that to my sisters.
So shifting into the like nominee talks, you see Meredith and Christian kind of talking because they're like, oh my god, like what's going on? And Christian is spilling everything to Meredith, and Meredith is just like sitting there just like and when she hit him with the I'm safe regardless, I said
another iconic line from Meredith is
oh my
I don't think about Brady.
Like Meredith has so many iconic lines, and even when like Christian was spilling his game to Meredith during the fight trap round, you just see Meredith going,
she's just soaking it all in. She said, give me everything you have.
She's giving Sponge Queen like Monet Exchange. She is just soaking it all up.
I just unfortunately see Christian truly spiral the entire second episode of this round. He like starts by declaring that he's going after Jessica after contributing, like, of course, like I understand like he contributed to her sunflower win and then she nommed her. Like I get being upset about that. But why are we going against Jessica? 1. 2, he then just like horribly burns his 2 closest allies by like basically sharing that Brady is telling multiple people that he's in a final 2 deal when that is what Christian's doing. And so Christian's caught with having 2 different final 2 deals. And so then he's, instead of like trying to salvage those final 2 deals, he burns them. He's like, okay, well, like I guess I'm no longer good to you. And so like he turns to people that he doesn't have strong relationships with, and like absolutely cannot recover. Like in no way can he recover.
I don't know what Christian thought he was doing, running to Brady and then Meredith and back and forth, and like, well, I'm completely done with Meredith now. Like Brady just ran straight to Meredith and was like, well, he's done with you. Like you can't, like, it's weird in the sense of like 3 noms on the block together because you're campaigning. Like you have to campaign against one. You can't campaign against 2.
Yeah.
But if you campaign against the wrong one or to the wrong one, it could come back and bite you because now you have 2 rallying against just you. And I don't know. Christian should have just kept his mouth shut again.
Yes.
I mean, I think he got a little frantic because he realized his positioning in this nomination set. But I agree with you guys. And again, I think it depends on the person you're playing with. But I think with players like Brady and Meredith, when you go and tell them something, they're not the type to try and hide it. If other people ask them questions about it, they're going to tell the truth. Yeah. So, which is why he got exposed. You know what I mean? He can make as many final 2s as he wants, but I don't think Brady and Meredith are the type to keep a secret too close to their chest concerning Christian.
Preach.
I agree, Meredith. And that was something me and Matthew talked about. I was like, do you think this Christian and Meredith dynamic after the fly trap actually follows through, and the fact that Meredith might not outbid him? But obviously we see Meredith is like, I'm going to have to outbid you, sir.
Yeah, I was afraid the second that Christian went up to her and was like, I'm bidding, like, I really need this. Like, Meredith just kind of sat there for a second and didn't say anything. And I was like, Meredith, I swear to God, if you do not say, if you bid, like I'm bidding against you, I will come through the screen and like shake you and like tell you that you like need to bid. Because I like Meredith, I think was correct in the fact that she was safe regardless. But like, I think it's smarter for Christian to go here in her eyes. And I think she realized that.
Yeah.
Which was interesting to see because, like, I feel like if I'm Meredith, I see Christian being like, "Oh, he is so loyal to me," and like that is definitely a number for me. But I'm glad that Meredith is smart enough to realize, girl, I don't need Christian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think this also kind of shows how valuable Cactus is as well, because not only
Mhm.
are you safe, but those are 3 actual votes that people get
Huge
to
votes.
like pitch into, like to sway these decisions. Like Meredith knew, like, oh, my 3 closest allies aren't going to be nominated, and they have voting power. So she didn't need to uproot herself to stay safe,
Yeah.
but she knew that if Christian did uproot himself, like Brady's like now wanting to work on their side, so like sending Brady home isn't really the best thing. And like there is a slight possibility that she can go home against Brady. Like it makes it easier because
Yeah.
Christian's literally spiraling and is such an easy out in this moment.
I feel like again, we already talked about like the whole Brody versus Brady thing, but I feel like it really came to like culmination when Brady is kind of shutting people out as he's like so desperately trying to form this final four and everyone just keeps interrupting it. Um but how do you guys feel about Brady kind of being like, I need to beg for votes as voters are walking in?
Like it made sense, but also didn't. Like if it was like Lily and Jessica trying to walk up in there and they don't got votes, cool. But like
Right.
I, gue- I guess like you don't want the people in the conversation that you're having to get up and leave as like other people are coming in and like you're begging for things, because like you're begging for votes but you're also like begging for allies, and like you're not trying to ally with everyone. So like I could see his point, but also like I think after like the first person comes in and they're like, oh my God, like, hey, could I talk, and then like you shoot them away and then someone else does, like you just got to give up and like go try again later, like after you talk to these people so they shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Matthew,
Oh God.
you made a comment last night
I don't know what I said
that
last night.
you are really enjoying Meredith in her Mean Girl era.
Yes, I am. Oh, I am. Meredith, I love Meredith, and she just plays as like the nice, sweet, innocent girl. And when it's like the game after so long, like you just like stop, like even if you're like genuinely nice and everything, like the game just pulls it all out of you, and you just like turn into that mean girl. And like Meredith, mean girl, she's just like so cutthroat. She will say whatever she wants. And then when she's just like, boop, okay, goodbye. Like when she was coming at Christian, like I was listening.
do you think do you think that the fly trap pulled it out of her? Because she's like, I don't like to play this way. And then after the fly trap is played, she kind of pops off.
I think she realized she almost. I don't know. I think she kind of knew that she needed to start playing Mean Girly because it worked on the two boys for the fly trap. When she was like, "No, I'm
Hmm.
putting my foot down." I think that was her first little whiff of the Mean Girl, and I think she realized after that, like, people will do what I want if I start hamming it
Putting
up a
my
little
foot
bit.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Instead of being more passive. She's getting more aggressive.
a
Right.
lot of people have said it. I think Abrielle especially, where it's like Meredith kind of plays it down in the beginning, and when she gets to the point where she just went out or she has like the allies that she needs, like she ramps it up super quick and she's go go go. And I think we're starting to see the formation of Meredith trying to go go go, but I think we're already also seeing the downfall um, of like Meredith at the same time.
Hmm. I think Meredith's name has been brought up too much about how good she's playing in these past couple rounds that it's gonna catch up to her. Especially with like these bros working together. What do we think about Brody? In my opinion, I think Brody is playing the Brody game, right? I think he's making total, complete logical sense in the moves he's making and playing. But he has this blind spot in his game with Ross.
Yeah.
Ross is actively talking about wanting to target him, but from what we're seeing, he wants to work with Ross. So, what do we think about that?
I think it's really... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to comment that I think Brody is always like, have targets in front of me motivated. And that's why he wants to keep Ross. I don't think he necessarily wants to go to the very end with Ross.
Right.
But so I think Brody's just not in his brain like making the jump yet. Whereas Ross sees like I absolutely don't want to go to the end with Brody. So like we need to start thinking now, because by the time it's final six, like Brody, it's significantly harder to get Brody out.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because you see a player like Brody that has like so much figured out, and it's just like the one like little piece that he does not have figured out that he think he has locked down is like kind of actively going against him. It's like good to see that like Brody kind of has some flaws in his game, because like Brody is seen as the mastermind of like getting everyone to do what he wants, and there are people that like see him as like the threat that he is, and that like they know needs to go soon rather than later, and they were like, okay, like we drug him along for as long as we needed him, and now he could just go. And I think they played so well like with Brody that like they convinced him that they were like indebted to him and so good with him forever that they would never do such a thing.
Yeah.
All right. I guess one of the last questions I have is, what do we think with how strong Abrielle was kind of pleading her case this round? What do we think about her not helping Christian get off the block?
Well, she tried, and then she stopped because I think she realized even if I gave him all my seeds, it probably wouldn't be enough. So I don't like. I think Abrielle's fine. Like I don't think it like hurt or did anything bad necessarily, but I think she should have done more, in my opinion.
I don't know how much she could have done this round, to be honest. Like I think like there was a small amount of traction of like putting votes against Meredith, but I don't think she had enough time to like start turning the tide against Abrielle, because against Meredith, because Christian had already kind of dug himself a deep hole. I think if Christian didn't overreact to his nomination, like try to go to Brody and like not focus his energy on the other two people that were nominated against him, I think Abrielle could have had more time to figure out a tangible way to have gone after Meredith this round.
Yeah, I think that was Christian's flaw in his big grand banishment speech, was that you're basically going after a third of the house in this speech and saying that you're going after 4 people, maybe like 1 or 2, you know what I mean? But calling out 4 people, that was a little too much.
It's all...
Okay. Anything we haven't touched on?
No, it's a dynamic episode. It was fun to watch.
It was a fun round, fun episode, fun challenge. People are getting active. I guess the last thing to talk about is who are our MVPs for the round. And Thomas, we're going to start with you.
I have two honorable mentions first. I think Brady actually does like an okay job in this round, in that he like kind of gets a little bit of footing with the other side of the house that he originally didn't, and is like semi-successful at it. So I think Brady does buy himself a few rounds like with his efforts this round, and he survives the block. I think Abrielle played well and is starting to get these wheels turning, so she's also an honorable mention in this round. But I think ultimately, again, like I think Meredith's uproot kind of solidifies Christian going home. So I'm gonna give it to Meredith. I have to.
Okay. Matthew?
Abrielle is definitely an honorable mention. But I think just based off of how the round played out, getting like no blood on their hands, getting safety, and like having a good plan moving forward, I think I'm gonna give mine to Ross. Like he wasn't really in the spotlight, but like he got the safety from Brody. He had his little one-on-ones with the camera, let us know like what he was feeling, and like he stayed out of all the shit this episode. So he's like, nothing for me here.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would give it to Abrielle if all of her work actually came to fruition.
Right.
I just don't know if it will yet.
Right, which maybe it will in the future.
Maybe, I have no idea. I do want to give credit to Brady because I think Brady helped his positioning a lot. Obviously, he stayed in the vote, even though Christian kind of did his own thing. I think I will give it to Ross. I think Meredith did a good job this round. I just had trouble deciphering because she was like having this whole conversation with Brady, and then she was kind of joining this like Brady hate train in the backyard or like in the courtyard couch. But I feel like Meredith might have just been saying that because of the people that were there.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think it was a Brady. I don't think that was a Brady hate remark.
Everyone was talking about Brady though.
It was a Brady hate train.
I think Meredith was honestly more saying like, "Oh, Brady's just like not on my radar right now. Like, I don't think he's like in a non-shady
to hide
way,
her
saying,
relationship with him."
No, I think she was just saying like objectively, like Brady's not an issue right now.
Okay.
Meredith's a very objective player.
Yeah.
And so I think she was just saying like, oh, like I don't have any thoughts on Brady because like that's not who we should be thinking about right now.
True. Because she just said like, Christian, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we see Christian leaves this round. Christian gives his seeds to Abrielle, and
there was one other.
It was someone else. Yeah. It was 4 and 3, I believe. But I'm glad Abrielle has seeds to save herself in future rounds in case this comes back to bite her ass. The fact that she got so vocal this round, and I don't really know that she has the capital to pull off these moves. So I'm glad she has some safety net from Christian. And good game, Christian. It didn't work this time.
Wrong group.
Yeah. Wrong group.
And like I just like the way he was playing, I don't think would really work with like All-Stars game. Christian, if he wants to win, he's got to be more aggressive and less like, oh, like he's not the right kind of player to be that just has like generally good vibes with everybody. Like that's just not how Christian should play.
Plus, I feel like when he tried to get aggressive, it obviously got shut down by the flight trap. So
yeah, Christian also just doesn't stay calm. Like half of good gameplay is just being calm whenever you are like put in stressful situations. Like when I was just like put up 2 rounds back to back, and I just made it through because you just have to trust that you'll get through it. But I can coach you later, Christian.
Oh,
she charges per hour. But okay, any last final words on the round?
No.
No?
That's good.
Alrighty. Make sure you guys tune into The Greenhouse. Link at the bottom of the screen. Every Sunday and Thursday at 8 p.m., 7 Central. Thomas, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
My season 3 sister, for joining us and making me drink this go-go juice. It really got me going.
I know. I mean, look, we just yapped for an hour and a half.
We went over our scheduled air time. We'll pay the fee later.
We will.
But Thomas, thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next Thursday for an extra special podcast right after next week's banishment. Make sure you tune in next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern and
9:30.
10 p.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central for an all special podcast.
See you all. Thank you.